Good day, good people. Today we will continue setting up our JavaScript app, and then we will use the Chrome DevTools to debug and invoke our JavaScript API. We will also add an alias for our app to the window object in the browser so that we can expose our public API to other code that may wish to call it. This practice is used to encapsulate a JavaScript app within a namespace, which is just a JavaScript closure. Most JavaScript libraries add a global alias to the window. For example, if we evaluate the window in the console here on the Bootstrap website, we can see this $, which is an alias for jQuery exposed off the window object. Okay, in our last tutorial, we added our server.js, our app.js, and our index.html files, and we started our simple Node.js server listening on port 8080. So to continue, come to the Bootstrap website, go to Documentation, scroll down to their starter template, and copy and paste it into our index.html file. Next, add a script tag for our app.js. Save it, and then browse to localhost 8080. There we can see our Bootstrap snippet Hello World. All right, we'll go ahead and open up the DevTools. All right. To add our app, we will say window.sr for simple renderer equals function. So this style of function is called an immediately self-executing function and an immediately invoked function expression. So you will often see code such as var self equals this used within an object like this so that other functions can access functions and properties directly on the context of this. The this context is important here. If we run this code now and take a look at the value of this, it will actually be set to the window object, which is incorrect. When a function is called without an owner object, the value of this becomes the global object. In a web browser, the global object is the browser window. So to fix this problem, we come back here and we call it with an owner object. .call object. Save. Refresh the browser. And we can see now that this is actually properly set to an instance of an object. Now let's add our public API and test it out in the Chrome DevTools. So we will have one public function exposed off our simple renderer alias, and it will be called render element. And into that function, we will be passing a config object, which we will create in a few minutes. So at the moment, this function is encapsulated in the scope of this self-executing function. So to expose a public API, we will say return object render element. And this will allow us to invoke this function from the browser's console. So let's test that out. Add an alert. And refresh the browser. Save, refresh. Okay, so our self-invoked or self-executing function was invoked when the page reloaded. So now to view our API in the console, we simply can type window.sr or just sr. And we see that our, let me bring this up a little bit. We can see our API exposed with its one public function render element. We can also execute this function directly from the console by typing sr render element. And we'll just pass in an empty object for now, and we'll hit a breakpoint directly like that. And we can see our empty object that got passed in. So there's our alert. Communication has been established. So as the next part of this tutorial, we will go ahead and grab the static HTML that we will be modeling with the JSON object. So come back to the Bootstrap site. The starter template that we added is calling in all the CSS and JavaScript that we need from a CDN. So we'll come to the examples page here, go to this pricing example page, right-click on it, inspect, and we will come to the body, right-click, edit as HTML, and we're going to grab all the HTML in the page here, with the exception of the script links at the bottom of the page. All right, so just copy it, bring it back over to our app.js, into our index.html. We'll replace this hello world h1 tag with the HTML we just copied. Come back to our hello world example, close the DevTools for a moment, and refresh the page. As you can see, that's the bootstrap.com provides a quick way to get started with some slick HTML templates. Okay, that's it for this video. In my next video, we'll start modeling our controls with the JSON object. Thank you for watching.